And hello. I think we're good. Hi, Anders. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, you're live now. We shouldn't be getting any feedback, but please let us know if that's not the case. Um,
That's good.
yeah. Sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna. There we go. I just wanted the game to load up at the bottom there. All right,
Awesome.
so this is we're here. We got all our technical shenanigans sorted. Hello, everybody in chat. It's good to see
Woohoo!
you. Yeah, it's a good old lunchtime for me, and it's a good old near dinner time for Anders. So, time zones, yay. So, yeah, just introduce myself to y'all. My name is Fiona, and I'm the community manager for Raw Fury. And who are you, sir?
My name is Anders Lauritzen, and I am the developer of Skald against the Black Priory. So I'm basically I'm the developer. I'm the one man show.
Well, it's good to have you here today, Anders. Before we get started, actually, maybe we should just switch to the. Do you want to talk about the anything about the game right now, or do you want me to load up the game view and start creating a character? What do you want to do?
No, I think we're very fine. Just or actually, maybe you can just start creating a character, and I can talk
Okay.
because the character creation isn't really terribly interesting.
Okay.
And it's definitely one of those things that will
I
be
like the
that is.
character creation. It's my favorite
Oh, really?
part. Well, I mean,
You
in
like?
any game, there's definitely people who enjoy character creation in games, and I'm one of those people, like for sure. So let
Yeah.
me let me just
Yeah.
switch this to the old game view.
I think what I'm
Cool.
trying to say is that like the character creation UI or user experience is needs to get updated. I think that's that's what I'm trying to say.
That's
Not
okay.
that like
I
the
mean,
character creation itself.
this is a great segue into talking about the character creation screen.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I have like oh, hold on. Uh, okay, cool.
You just have
Sorry.
to progress through it. You can't use
Yeah, yeah, I was
the
like, I'm already going ahead. I mean, really, the basic thing I want you to explain to me and other people is, we've got like the core attributes, strength, agility, intellect, and
yeah.
presence for these four classes here. But what does that mean in the game? Because strength you can derive
Yeah.
as you're doing more damage, but what does presence mean? Like,
Exactly. That's a good question. So one of the before we sort of go into talking about what everything means and what everything means. This is one of the primary things that I've been spending a lot of weeks since New Year working on because currently there's a lot of information that is obfuscated in the game,
mhm,
and the way the old UI system worked, there wasn't really a good way of having, for instance, like tooltip pop-ups in the game. But that's something that's been implemented now. It's
yeah,
obviously not in the demo, and it won't be for months yet. But that's one of those really, really, really helpful things where you can sort of you can see like you can press a class and you can say that the core attribute is agility. Okay, what does agility mean? You could
nice,
hover over agility and then you would get the information about agility, for instance. And we could even nest them, and you could say agility influences your dodge bonus, and then you can hover over dodge and then get a tooltip for that. And so so just for everyone watching this now and also later and after the fact, just rest assured that this demo is like in game development terms, it's
yeah,
very old, and we've been holding
yes,
back because like the new demo is really, really updated,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and especially in terms of UI and information, that's one of the things that we're really making more player facing.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think I agree that I agree that this demo is fairly old, and we were unsure whether to be perfectly frank, we were unsure whether to stream or not because there's been so many changes made to the game. But I thought it was important to give people a sort of like a rough look at
Absolutely.
what the game is. And I'd already seen what the game is right now, and I'd seen the hover over tooltips, which I have to say is like really great because as somebody who maybe wants to know more lore about the game, I'm not lost when people are just saying things to me. I can actually have remind myself. So it's really good to
Yeah,
know that that will apply to the character creation screen as well, and the stats and abilities and what they do.
yeah, yeah. I think we will apply it to absolutely every aspect of the game,
Yeah,
and so
yeah,
we will be doing the same thing that they did like in Pillars of Eternity as well. For instance, when you have dialogue and there is a kind of a keyword referenced in the dialogue, instead of
yeah,
squeezing in a lot of exposition and forcing people to read more than they want to, you can just choose to hover over that keyword and say, oh, what does that mean? What does that sort of very setting thing mean? So yeah. So that was a very long-winded answer to your question.
No. It was good. It's good. I appreciated it. So I would just like to inform people that the game's default and the prologue, which you can go play now. Hold on, let me get a link for everybody because I want to give folks a link.
Yeah. I'll talk while you get the link. So also to keep in mind, like in the character creation screen, is that it's very bare bones. There's currently only 4 classes, and the primary, like the main game, will have a lot more classes. I don't know. I don't really want to commit to a number yet, but like the idea is that there's like 5 archetypes, and each archetype should probably have like 3 subclasses. So I think we're going to have about 15 classes in the game. So even though it looks very bare bones now, it's going to be a lot more expressive, and you can do a lot more with it, obviously, for the main game.
Oh, I would just like to say that I copy pasted the wrong link, and I had all the links at the side and realized that I have duplicated the main one. But if you do search, that's the main game. So if you want to wishlist it, go ahead. The link is in chat. But otherwise, if you type in Skald in Steam, it will
the main game links to the prologue as well. The main game links to the prologue.
Oh yes, sure does. Also it does. Oh, we're all good then. I'm saved. Takai M asked, will this game launch to consoles?
That's an interesting question. The game is being developed in Unity, so that means that we have absolutely we can export it to basically anything we want, which is super nice. So it's more a question of and so exporting it to consoles is unproblematic. It's more a question of do we aim for having it done for launch, or is that something that we do sort of post-launch? I think that's really sort of the only question, because obviously it will go on some consoles. I'm not exactly sure which, and especially when is kind of a big question. But
we want to get it out on Steam first. Like we want to get it out there. Yeah.
This is like PC is our core platform. There's no mistake about it. Yeah. But it is fairly trivial to export it to other platforms. So obviously we're going to do it. It's just a question of logistics. Yeah.
And this might also be like a kind of like a little bit of a tangent, but it did make me think about this, that we probably will talk a little bit later on about what inspired this game. And I feel like the games that inspired this were old PC games, or rather than older console games. Not that that's going to determine what we release it on, but that's sort of like, when I load this up, I think of like the older games I played on the PC rather than, say, the ones for console. So what class do you feel... Oh, I actually was saying a little minute ago. The prologue default difficulty is easy. And I died on the first, like, hard fight, which was, like, the second fight. So, you know, I didn't know that you could actually skip that fight. I know it now, but we might just try it and do it and see if I can do it. What class do you feel like we should go? You know the demo the best. What would be the easiest to play through so we can show people?
I think like the reason why the rogue is the default class is that one of the first characters you meet in the game is Roland, who is a warrior. And,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and the rogue is kind of very complementary to a warrior. Like a warrior rogue combo is sort of a very complementary thing, and obviously the spellcasters are nice as well, but they're also a bit underdeveloped yet. So, Lord Stargazer, it's super nice to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Stargazer is a member of our Discord community and he's been for a very long time, so he's fun to see him here. And I agree completely, Stargazer, that a Switch version would be fantastic. I would also love to play this game on Switch. So beyond PC, if I was to sort of just like pick with my heart, I would want a Switch port.
Like I can definitely see playing on the Switch out of all the consoles for sure. Just the handheldness of it just adds to the, for sure. I agree. This is where we discover that Fiona has the worst habits in video games. So I just want to will there be a luck stat in this game? I don't mean to add anything onto your development, but I just want to ask. Okay.
I don't think so. I'm not a big fan of luck stats in role-playing games.
I'm the opposite.
Do you need one? Is that what you're saying?
No, you know, it's probably good that you don't, you know what, you shouldn't listen to me. This is, I don't want to affect your development progress in this game. I'm the sort of person who would pile everything into luck, like in Fallout, because I'm a ridiculous person. But I'm also another person, a type of person who likes to put everything into one stat, even though I know that's not optimal. I just can't help myself. So, I'm sorry, y'all getting agility. Oh, I can like up to 20. Dang it.
Yeah.
I guess
just min-max right now. It's no question. I mean, like that's obviously one of those things that we haven't had the time that we can't really do before the game is more or less complete. Is sort of the balancing of everything. And like the dream scenario is obviously to have a game that doesn't have a dump stat.
Right.
And in combat-heavy games, that tends obviously to be like the non-physical stats. They tend to be dump stats, and I don't want to go as far as like the, for instance, the Pillars of Eternity games, where they did kind of some wonky stuff with, like, strength would affect damage of spells, for instance, and they did a kind of things that were a little bit forced, I think. But we'll definitely be looking for other ways to make every stat important to have, so that sort of every build is a valid build, or at least should be a fun build. Yeah. Obviously, it might not be optimal because I don't think it's possible to make a game that doesn't have an optimal build. But yeah.
I think it's also the case of like trying to balance optimal and just people having fun too, right? Like they're doing a sort of an RPG, and you're going to get both type of players, and that's pretty tough. Like I don't envy you on that one.
I guess like the big thing that we try to take care to do. Just feel free to blast through the character creator, Fiona. It's the least interesting thing about the demo. I was just going to say that one of the things that we do to sort of, it's really important for me to have a very strong difficulty system, and we will have customizable difficulty in the final game. So it should be absolutely possible to sort of get the play experience that you want. And that might mean that you play on very high difficulty, and you have to that you kind of have to optimize a little bit, or it can mean that you can play on a lower difficulty and do more of a role-playing playthrough where you play kind of a the character you envision, instead of just having 20 strength and agility, which
like I'm really loving the idea that like I am like the strongest person ever right now and the fastest. Like I'm really excited about this. Like you have no idea. Helmet here. Thank you. Just want to say I played and loved the demo a while back. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Glad to hear, Helmet here.
All right. Should I read out the? Shall we do some RP here?
No,
why not?
No, because there's so much text.
No. It's gonna
be more of a
ruining my fun.
That's
okay.
More of a director's commentary instead.
Listen, when I stream this game on the Raw Fury account, I'm doing all with voices and everything. So check that out when the game is released. That's gonna happen. So I'll just like for people just watching, we're on a boat right now, and shenanigans is about to happen. So.
How do you like the soundtrack, Stargazer? I think it's awesome too.
Yeah. Oh, I have to link to that.
It's actually up for sale already. So our music creator is Surter on social media, and he's also a game developer. He's also Ukrainian. So I posted a post up on my on the Skald's devlog, skaldrpg.com. Which was kind of a call to action to buy his games on Steam and support him, and so feel free to do that. And he also made the soundtrack for the game. So if you buy the soundtrack for the game, all the money goes to him. It's his prerogative to sell the soundtrack. So it's really cool it's fun to see you. Rob,
sorry. I just wanted to do this.
If you just follow the link that Fiona posted above, then you can find the soundtrack and the demo on Steam. So it's really fun to see you play the game now, because like I said, the demo is quite old, and I don't play it anymore. And so the game that I'm playing, it looks quite different than the one you're playing.
Listen, I just want to put my strength at 20 so I could blast down that door. I've never been able to do it, so I was very excited to use my strength.
Hilarious.
This isn't, I just wanted to tell everyone, this isn't the fight I died at. This is the one that, this one's okay. This one's fine.
Yeah.
Do you want to just explain? Do you want to just chat about the battle system while I go through this?
The combat system.
Yeah, the combat system. Yeah.
Yeah. So the game is basically turn-based and tiled-based, and you have like a number of moves each turn, and then you can move and attack, and attacking ends your turn. So you kind of have to time things a little bit. Obviously, people would love to be able to move before and after attacks, but since we have feats that allow you to increase your movement rate, that means that you can cheese it pretty much by getting a high movement rate and then sort of do kind of a yo-yo attacking thing where you attack and then move out of combat reach. So we try to avoid that, and instead, so it's fairly easy on the surface, and you don't really have to do any. Also, in combat, you can just use the arrow keys and move around and bump into things to punch them, but the way we're sort of introducing complexity to combat is that combat difficulty will ramp up, especially if you're playing on higher difficulty. And there is a lot of synergy. There's a lot of focus on synergy between the different character classes and characters in the game. That's at least sort of the design goal that we have. If we manage to pull it off, it's another question, but it's absolutely what I aim for. So all the characters have sort of different abilities, and the rogue, for instance, is very focused on using sort of scoring critical hits, and that usually gives them even more powerful critical hits. So it's sort of a kind of a you keep setting yourself up to have more critical hits, and you do that by, for instance, doing flanking maneuvers with other characters, or using spell abilities to have, for instance, to daze opponents, and then the rogue can go in and make a critical hit. So if you've played any kind of like D&D after 3rd edition, then this is very familiar to you. And you know, I had a lot of fun playing D&D 3rd edition, so it's absolutely influenced the game quite a bit. At the same time, I think the combat is fairly approachable, and especially if you want to play on lower difficulties, it doesn't really demand much of you, and you can even automate a lot of it if you want to. So,
yep.
So yeah, there's something for everyone.
Oh no! I was just about to ask. I was like, Anders, shall we sneak past the guards, or should we fight them? And he just came out the door. He's come to get me.
You can outrun them if you want to.
Okay.
I think you can manage to outrun them because only one of them has spotted you.
Okay.
Helmet here, I'm basically doing the writing myself, because Helmet here is asking who is writing for the game. But I also have a couple of freelancers that both do writing and editing, and so it's kind of a collaborative thing. But like, for the most part, I do basically some of everything in the game, and I do quite a lot of the writing myself. And that's not to underplay all of the amazing freelancers I have, but yeah. So the game is actually based on my old D&D campaign, which is yeah.
I don't think I have diplomacy. Okay, so we get to see what happens when you fail stuff. That's good. That's good. If I fail this.
Also, everything with sort of like tests in, like ability tests and things like that, it's also a bit messy how we present the information, and you can't really dig into the information more. And that's also something we're absolutely going to make a lot more accessible with the pop-up menus. That's, yeah.
I didn't mean to get in this fight. I just went the wrong way. Okay, so Roland is...
yeah, you swap places with him, so...
I did,
yeah. Just click attack and he'll step over. He'll waste them. He's quite powerful, and they're not really any match for him.
Okay, good. So the first time I played this and lost, I didn't take Roland with me. So I got him to stay here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or it was like, he was with me and I didn't click, so I didn't realize, and I died. Also, I feel really bad. I didn't mean to fight them. Like, it's not their fault that they're scared. They're scared because there's shenanigans happening on this ship.
Yeah. So it's also really interesting to, as I tried to say earlier, that it's interesting to watch you play the demo because the look of the game has changed quite a bit. Obviously, it's exactly like the same style, and like at a glance, it looks more or less the same. But especially the level creation tools we have now are a lot more powerful than the ones we used to. So it means that like the environments look they look much better. Obviously, it's still 16 colors. It's still the Commodore 64 palette. It's still tile-based, but there's just so much more detail and love that goes into the maps that we're currently making. So,
and we maybe should have said this previously, actually, before we started. I know that somebody else had asked you this recently, but the prologue we're playing right now isn't spoiling the story in the sense that like it's going to be changed, right? So.
No, exactly. It's like the prologue. First of all, there will obviously be rewrites because the prologue is so old. Even though I think it will be more or less sort of the same, but the prologue is basically just like the setup for the first part. It's literally the prologue to the game. So there's not really any like critical information being spoiled in the prologue. So you can rest assured.
I'm having a lot of fun because I didn't play with the bow and arrow last time, so I am like, heck yeah, doing some range shenanigans here.
Oh, you got a bow. That's cool.
I did.
That's
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So wait, is the bow not a determined thing you got from the chest? Because that's what I got from the chest before.
No, it's you can swap places with the sailor to your right with Roland. Oh, you should just walk into the sailor. You will swap places with him. No, some of the loot, at least in the demo, quite a bit of the loot is randomized just because you didn't have the time.
Cool.
So the experience has changed.
Oh, I thought that was intentional. No, I got the bow and I was like, heck yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah. We'll have to see in the final game how the balance between having some content be randomized, especially maybe some loot. Obviously, we don't want it to be like a Skinner box Diablo thing where you have to grind, but at the same time it's fun that there is some randomization because it gives different play experiences to people every time you play it. Like this time you got a bow, you didn't get that the last time, and that offers quite a bit of difference in the.
I've done the prologue a few times and I've never gotten the bow, so that's why I saw it and I was like, all right.
Exactly.
I will say in the prologue when I was doing this part of the story, I was like, please, sailors, you're just being silly and superstitious. What could be out there? And then this happened and I was like, fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, there's something out there.
But yeah, basically we're being attacked by this big, I guess, kraken-like sea monster, and Roland is, holding his own. I always go to Roland's aid, even if he isn't happy for me. So we'll do that. All right.
Have you ever tried to lead him to his fate?
No, I haven't. No, I feel bad. Wait, what happens if I do that?
You'll have to try next time.
Oh no. Okay, well, y'all, if you're playing the prologue, you gotta try it for me. Because I also know what happens, but he scolds me later on. He's like, why did you come and save me? And I was like, I couldn't not save you.
Roland is a pretty stereotypic sad dad video game.
He's
also very popular with the community. So and I really love him as well. He's deeply troubled and very sad. So.
So now we're back. We're back before the boat shenanigans.
Yeah, there's a flashback in the game. Yeah. So what? Did you play a lot of PC computer role playing games when you were? You're still young, but like back in the day, Fiona. What's your?
So I never. So we can definitely talk about the. Well, first of all, tell me about the games that you played that influenced you to make this.
I would say that, like people looking at the game, I would say that the Ultima, especially Ultima 5 reference is pretty strong. I think. So that's absolutely a big influence, and also games like Wasteland 1 and also Bard's Tale, even though Bard's Tale doesn't have sort of the same perspective, but still like a lot of gameplay elements in Bard's Tale was really influential in sort of writing when I started making the game. Also, a huge influence for me is sort of the Magic Candle series and Bloodstone, which is games that aren't necessarily as well known, but that I really enjoyed tremendously growing up. I probably played them the most of any CRPG, like back in the early 90s, so that's also pretty big influence on the game. Like in terms of writing and the narrative, and the way you interact with the narrative, I would definitely say that's sort of the Infinity Engine and Baldur's Gate games and that series of games. I don't want to compare myself to Planescape because Planescape is such a good game, but still, that's sort of one of the things I really wanted to do. I wanted to make a game that looked and played a bit like Ultima 5, but that read and felt more maybe like a more modern RPG. Not that Baldur's Gate is particularly modern anymore, but but like in sort of that way of interacting with the story. I wanted multiple choice. I didn't want sort of keyword-based dialogue and so forth. So,
Yep, and I mean, as far as I'm aware in the prologue, like, this is all optional, correct? Like coming to the maze. Yeah, because like I kind of like I did this first when I first did the prologue, and then I wandered up to the house and then went inside. But as no, I know I got lost in my own maze. Help me. But that's what I really enjoyed about this was the fact that I had this option to just view the story and to get involved.
Go south. Go south. No.
No. This way?
Yeah. No. And south. South.
No.
No. South. No.
Oh, it's because you're lagged behind and you can't see, so you're giving directions.
Go left.
There we go. I got it.
Go down.
I did not get my torch.
Did you get the torch from Gideon?
No,
you don't need it.
I didn't know. This time I didn't know.
Yeah.
I did pet the dog twice though, which is very important.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did you go to the? Oh, you do have to go to the kitchen as well. There's something there as well. No. Okay.
That's the guess I know. Whereabouts is the kitchen then?
Go. Just follow the path leading right.
Okay.
And Stargazer says that he's very excited about Skald because it looks like a game from back in the day, and I completely agree, and that's also why and then between the razors between them.
Oh, hold on.
Between the fires, there's.
I want to try. Oh, I was like trade/steal, and he won't let me steal. I wanted to steal from him.
No, you can't. You can't attack, trade, or steal from anyone.
Okay. And here? Oh no, this is. Oh, I see.
Go between the lights.
Where are the lights? Okay. Gotcha. Oh, I see. No, I didn't come in here before. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that we also have to work with a little bit in terms of the UI is to sort of make it easier to spot. Because that's one of the things when you do tile-based RPGs is how do you illustrate doors in exactly that position. Yeah. So.
I mean, I'm also the worst. I'm also the worst person for this sort of stuff. Like I am actually bad, like legit at being able to see things. So I am not a good use case for people. Is there gonna be monsters in here? Like I feel like every. I thought there was gonna be like spiders or rats.
If there is going to be romance in the game, and I don't think that there is going to be. That's a good question because it's absolutely something that I've considered, and I don't necessarily think that there is going to be romance in the game, because if there was romance in the game, then you would have to be able to romance several characters, and that would mean a lot of work, and it's absolutely something we would do. However, I think that I would much rather spend the energy developing sort of non-romantic character relationships, because I think that's more important for this style of game, and in particular sort of one of the themes of this game is that a lot of the characters in the game are kind of broken people in a sense, because the world is very dark and very violent, and sort of exploring your companions and sort of their trauma and getting to know them that way, for me, is more interesting than the romance aspect, because the romance wouldn't really add anything to the game. It would just be, obviously, it would. I mean, it would be fun for some people to be able to. Yeah, I would love to romance this character because I really like that character, and for a lot of people that would be really, really cool. And I fully get that. And if there was 10 of me, then we would definitely do it. Right now, we could do it if we wanted to, but it's not my first priority. There are other things that are going into the interplay between the characters first.
And I would say, personally, as someone who, you know, does like to romance characters in video games, it's also just fine to have games where that isn't in the case, you know, like where your aim is to tell a story with the people involved and not have romance. Sometimes it's actually a bit refreshing, for me personally, to be able to go into a game and go, okay, we're not going to be having romance shenanigans. That's not what I want from this story, you know? Just like when you pick up a book. When you pick up your book, you don't always want romance in it. You're maybe reading something that's just like, that's not what it's about. It's a murder mystery or whatever it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think also, especially if we put romance in as more of as fan service, then it's extremely important that I think that like the romance is both like accessible and also sort of representative of all kinds of romance, and that I think that's super important, but that also sort of makes the amount of work bigger, because then it would be a question of you have to be able to romance every non-player, or like every recruitable non-player character, and then you would suddenly end up in a situation where you might actually be limiting the number of characters because we don't have the time to implement romance for this character, so it becomes just a logistics problem.
That makes totally makes sense. So right now we're getting sort of flashback before we're on the boat, and we're finding out why we're on the boat. Obviously, if you play the prologue, you'll get the full story. So this is the conversation we're having right now.
I actually think it's fine that we're not really narrating too much, because hopefully a lot of people will go off and play the demo, and then they can sort of experience the narrative for themselves instead.
And like I'll play this at a later date on this channel once the game is out for sure. So I'll get to talk with people about the game, and we can play it together for sure.
So kind of the idea that we're having with these streams is that we're trying to make more video content for the project in general, because it's attractive to a lot of people, and we're going to try and stream every now and then. And one of the streams coming up, we will try to sort of have different things that we do on each stream, and one of the upcoming streams will be us also playing the updated demo, because we're making an updated version of the demo to go live before the launch of the game, that we will use to basically promote the game, and we will probably premiere it on this stream, I think, so people can sort of get their first view on the updated demo before we make it public. So
we can definitely talk about before we wrap up the stream in a little bit. We can definitely talk about like what the future streams you want to have, so people so y'all can see what we're thinking about what Anders wants to talk about in regards to future content here. So we can
we'd also be super happy for feedback from people in the chat, or like in the community in general, on what you would like to see more of, because we have a lot of leeway, and you basically have a direct connection to all of us. So you have to be careful. Do you have a weapon? Because press F1 to save the game.
I have a club.
You do. Yeah, that's right. You actually start with the club once you
land.
Try to make your way to the crate that is sort of behind the crab. Just
I see.
You can just walk in the water. You can just walk in the surf.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Oh, you triggered combat. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I managed to sneak at the front, and then I was like, okay, I could definitely go. No, I didn't.
Crabs are very docile, but once they come alive, they have quite a bit of armor. So they can be...
I mean, 20 strength here.
Yeah, 20 strength, and also the game is obviously set to the easiest difficulty, by default.
For this reason, so I couldn't mess it up.
For this exact reason. I got a sling, that's cool.
What did I get? I got a sling, yep. I'll take that sling. And, what is this? A ration, okay, yep.
can't equip it. You just have to. Yeah.
Okay.
What were we talking about? I lost my train of thought. But yeah.
So is there anything like, so we talked about the things that have changed in the demo in regards to like the tooltips and the information, the pop-up sort of thing. So is there anything like specific graphically that you've changed, or
So basically the way we made the levels themselves, like the graphical representation of the levels, was a bit clunky, and that's something that's changed. So we're probably redoing absolutely every level on the demo. We'll basically doing it all from scratch, because the editor that we have now is a lot more powerful and a lot faster to work with, and so the levels will also, you'll be able to see the difference. Absolutely. We'll be showing off the game. We'll be drip feeding you the game, like through. For instance, we're making a teaser right now, where we'll show off the game, and where you'll be able to see some snippets of the sort of the updated graphics. It's difficult. It's wrong to say updated graphics. It's more sort of just like the
refined
design.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah. But the resolution is more or less the same, and like it's still the same game, absolutely. But what was I saying? So for instance, the levels will they will look more detailed and a little bit more hand drawn, in a sense that we're able to tweak things a lot more, and sort of make everything doesn't have to conform perfectly to the grid, and sort of, yeah. So that's one of the things. But Lord Stargazer, he asks when we'll get to see the updated graphics. You'll get to play them in the updated demo that will be launching this summer, a couple of months before the main game goes live, so we can enter it into conventions and things like that, and the community will be. But Stargazer, you're also a backer, so we will like that means that you're a beta tester, and so we'll also start pushing out beta builds as we get closer, so the backers will obviously be seeing the new updates before everyone else.
Yep. I'm so glad that you can change your equipment in combat, because sling wasn't really cutting it when everyone was like smashing my face in with swords, but thankfully I was able to do so. So like when we talked about the games that sort of inspired you sort of to make this based on the games that you played when you were younger, and you asked me like what games, funnily enough, the games that when I played this prologue, the two games it reminded me of, which were completely different from the games that you'd mentioned, which I thought was interesting, because like how this game can invoke such nostalgia for even just different things. The two games for me were a game called The Immortal, which was out on the SNES and the Mega Drive, or Genesis in the US. Mostly the music. Mostly the music was the thing that got me with Immortal, and just the way that the overworld was. And the other one was Dungeons & Dragons Warriors of the Eternal Sun, which was, I believe, only out on the Mega Drive. And it's a very, like, D&D top, and then you go inside a dungeon, and it's got that sort of first-person view. But it had that same sort of, like, feeling. It's very dark. It feels very, like, a bleak world. So it was interesting that, like, I hadn't played Ultima 5, and yet, even not playing that, I still got nostalgia for other games that you probably haven't even played. So it is just invokes that sense of that time period. I thought that was really, really good.
I think so too. And one of the really, really interesting things, like from more of a game sociology point of view, just to go completely off the rails and launch into space here, is that there's like a phenomena in design where there's like this thing of having nostalgia for something you didn't really experience. And even though I'm born in the 80s, a lot of the games that are references to me, I didn't really play most of them at the time. I played most of them sort of later, after the fact. So, and I think a lot of people like me, we didn't really experience, like, I didn't own a Commodore 64, for instance. And so it's this interesting phenomenon where people are feeling like nostalgia for things they didn't really experience, and I'm certainly not the only one. And that's something that we hear a lot with this game, that it's like, yeah, I'm really nostalgic for it, but I didn't really play any games that looked exactly like this. So, and also a lot of people that actually did play those games, it's like, yeah, looking at that game,
it feels so similar. But then once I go back to like looking at how did actually Ultima 4 look at the Commodore 64, it looks nothing like it. It looks like this game looks super advanced in comparison, because obviously we're using modern hardware and modern development environments. So it's it's kind of an interesting thing. It's an interesting phenomenon, I think, and that's absolutely what's made this game relatively successful, kind of a cult hit, because I think it manages very effectively to tap into the nostalgia for things we didn't really experience.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the two things I wanted to point out was like, this is a small detail, but it's very much of the era of those games. Is like the bottom of the screen when you mouse over, it'll like give you a little text blurb of like what you're looking at, like an impression. So here I'm like, it's a small, intensely colourful flowers cover the ground. A sickly sweet scent wafts up as you step on them, and it just that your storytelling there just like it further immerses you in the game, and I really enjoy that. The other thing, the other thing is, I purposely don't know this because I also want to be surprised unless Anders tells me, but I hear there might be some in the game, a few sneaky surprises, as in maybe some...
Yeah.
So that's something that you're also looking to do, right?
Yeah, that's something that we're going to lean heavily into. There's a lot of sort of hidden things, a lot of secrets to explore, hidden areas. Just press enter and you will auto-launch combat.
Okay, I was actually going to just sneak past them because I was like, I need to get past them, and then
maybe I just killed you. Who knows?
I know.
No, but
No.
There's a lot of so basically even though the game is very narrative heavy, a lot of like the main writing in the game will have to go into what we call the critical path of the game, which is like the main content that most people will experience in one way or another. Yeah. So and obviously there will be side content, but there is a limit to how deep the side content can be, because there is a question of budget and time. So instead, what we're trying to do is to sort of enrich the world with having sort of more environmental storytelling, more secrets, like little things that you can explore, smaller conversations that you can have that sort of leads you to, in the same way that you would have in older games, because in the older games, the text was still very brief, and that was more of a technical thing, like a technical limitation, because you didn't have space for more text. So you would have to say like, secret is behind the waterfall, and like Zelda 1.
Like a Dark Souls type, like tiny little message.
Yeah, exactly. You would have to go, waterfall? Is there a waterfall there? And I think we're kind of trying to emulate that a little bit, but obviously with a little bit more pathos than the old games would, but sort of the same design ideal, more or less. Yeah. Hey Muadweeb, welcome to the stream. Thank you for...
So many rats, okay.
This is Rat now. Muadweeb is also one of the hardcore Discord members of the community, so I'm...
Nice to see you.
Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Moved to see you guys there. Fun to have you guys show up and show some love.
So many rats. Look, yeah. I'm just trying to find... Oh my gosh. I'm just trying to find my good boy. And I can't find my good boy because so many rats.
There's like in the demo, the combat is fairly simplistic. Like there are no really interesting opponents in the combat. It's all just oh, you have died. Well, that's fine.
I at least wanted to find Roland again, and I was like, well, there we go.
That's fine.
We're good.
Game also auto-saves, so you can absolutely auto-save if you want to. But I think we're also, I think you died at the right time.
I did. Wait, so just remind me, just so I'm aware, in case anyone wants to find the prologue. I mean, if you're playing the prologue, you might want to know this, but like, do you find Roland after that fight? I feel like I found Roland before this.
No, but I mean, like, the game is non-linear, so you can go in any direction.
Okay, so I must have found. Okay, yeah. I was just confused there.
You will find him eventually. You can't really.
That's true. I just wanted my good boy in my party again. Actually, I just wanted to say, when you're talking about secrets, it reminded me, of how, like, even in older games like the Warriors of the Eternal Sun, there was the whole thing where if you were in a dungeon, you could push yourself into a wall and it could be a secret door and you'd find something. And that was always that sense of like accomplishment. You felt really excited that you had explored, right? The game rewarded you for exploring. So like having that idea in this game where like you're being rewarded for exploring by finding secrets is exciting. So I like that. Hey, Frosty Donuts.
There is absolutely there's like a design paradigm, obviously, in modern games where people are terrified of players missing content in the game. Like the typical example is the Bethesda games, where basically they started off as pretty hardcore, but now it's like, yeah, you can join every guild. It doesn't really have any consequences. You can do absolutely every quest in the game, and I don't really feel that. I don't sort of feel that I have that. That's not part of this game. That's not sort of this game design. It's absolutely possible to pass things by, and you should absolutely feel that the game sort of has consequences. So that's my prerogative, I guess, as an indie game developer, that I don't have to sort of, because we didn't spend 100 million making this game, so it's so it's
what
like,
you didn't? How dare you?
So it's completely fine by me if not everyone sees all the content in the game, and I think that just adds to the replayability of the game. We'll also be having there'll be at least one alternative game mode in the game beyond just like difficulty, where we'll have like an Iron Man mode where you can play it sort of almost as a roguelike and have permadeath for when you've sort of finished the game once. And so I think that there will be at least some replay value to the game.
I remember how I found Roland now. We can bribe the rats. I'm sorry, I'm getting too into the game there. I just have to not read about bribing rats. Yeah, no. I was like, do I have some food on me? Can I bribe the rats?
That was a good idea. You should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Donuts,
I'm just adding to your scope list there.
Yeah. Donuts, you can play the demo on Steam. It's coming out in late 2022, but the prologue is out on Steam. Just keep in mind that the prologue is a bit outdated.
But
it's released in 2022. Yes, that's correct.
Yep. Bribing rats with cheese might work. Yep. Agreed. I also, one point I just wanted to you can obviously, I pet the dog, you saw that. I also did pet the cat, and it hissed at me, so the little details matter, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else that you, before we talk about like what future streams are going to be like and what we plan on doing for those, is there anything else that you want to talk about the prologue in particular, or?
No, not particular. The prologue is, as I said, the prologue is quite outdated, and for me, it was fun to see you play it a little bit because I don't really engage with it anymore, and it's fun to see how far the game has sort of come on my end as the developer, and so I'm really looking forward to show off the game, and basically I think that's it. The prologue has done quite well. It's been an interesting sort of case study in terms of like using a prologue as a promotional asset, and a prologue usually means something a little bit different than this. It usually implies that there is maybe some content in the prologue that's not in the main game. This is basically a demo, but by the time we released it, people were actually using the word prologue for kind of like a demo being released before the main game. So that's sort of a connotation for it, and I don't think the demo will be like, once the main game launches, we'll probably take the demo down. So this is more a way of engaging with the community, showing off the project, and getting feedback sort of during the development process. So it's almost like a tiny little early access for the game, and that's why we're also sort of doing a second round of it before we launch.
So for the, I guess call it the second demo, but like the demo that's coming out later on in a few months, what can people expect from that? Is that going to be actually the beginning of the game, like different than what the prologue is, or?
It will probably be somewhat similar narratively to what we have already, but we will be, like I said, we'll be updating all of the maps, both like in terms of the look and also sort of certain design paradigms. Like we said, we'll be adding more secrets and things like that. And then it's also always very, very difficult to assess how big do we make it? How long do we make it? How much content do we put in it? This is a quite, like, in terms of content, this demo is quite small, but we still have people who've played it for 20 hours.
Yeah, so yeah. No, I can see that. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, I think what we've done with it is that it's possible to grind a little bit in it. So once you sort of finish all the narrative content, you can still just like turn up the difficulty, see how long you can grind, how high level can you get. And I think that's kind of a good way to do it, because it doesn't really, you don't burn content that way, because that's what we have to be a little bit careful with, to have people be fatigued with like the content of the game by the time we launch the main game. So
you don't want people to come into the main game and then say like, oh, you know, I've already done this for 20 hours previously. That sort of feeling. And I also like the fact that, like, so this time I played a rogue, but the first time I played a warrior, and I haven't touched the cleric or the mage, so it's just you can definitely do that too. And I didn't even like, I just been running up to enemies and just like smacking them in the face. But you know, you can use feats and spells, and actually like there is strategy to the fights. I'm just brute forcing it right now to show the game.
And there are people who are playing the demo on the highest difficulty. I always play on the highest difficulty when I sort of test things. But the point is that the tactics do matter, because it's absolutely possible to finish like the demo on the highest difficulty. Absolutely. Yeah,
and we've already seen that the enemies have flanked me, and it does come up flank on the screen when they have done it. So I like that aspect of the battles too. So like, I didn't really want to do like any sort of auto battle or whatever. I was just like, no, I'm gonna do all these battles on my own. But I'm also excited to see when, you know, further as the game develops. Like, I'd really like to be able to play a spellcaster, and that's the reason why I haven't picked it now, because I want to see it when it comes out and be just having fun with spells and stuff.
So we had an interesting question from Frosty Donuts, which is how I got to pitching it to Raw Fury. And that's
a chat for another time.
Yes, exactly, because we're not going to go into that today, but we might talk a little bit about some of our upcoming content. And one of the, hopefully the next episode, if everything goes okay in terms of sick children and COVID and everything, we're having Johan Thoresson on next stream, who is sort of the scout for Raw Fury, and he is the guy that I originally got in contact with and pitched the game, and we were sort of and that I negotiated the contract with and sort of got everything. And Johan is a very interesting guy, very both colorful and very good at what he does. So I think that would be a really, really interesting talk. So the next time we'll be talking to him, we'll be talking a little bit about sort of what our process was together. But I think more importantly, we'll talk a little bit about what does it actually take to pitch a game? What does it take to get a game noticed? And sort of in more of a general sense. So if that's something you're interested in, just stay posted and
sorry, Frosty Donuts, we didn't want to give away all our secrets just yet. You gotta tune in next time.
You have to.
And speaking of next time, we don't have the date right now when the next stream will be, but it will be in April. I had to think to myself there what month it is, because what is time anymore? It will be in April, and you'll see on the Discord and on Twitter, both the Raw Fury Twitter and the Skald Twitter, with more information about when that stream is. And next week, I don't know if we were promising, but next week we're hopefully putting out a dev blog. That's up to Anders.
Yeah, I think so. I'm either writing one or I'm filming one, so one of those will be up for next week.
Cool. So we'll have some more content for you next week. If not, definitely the week after. But yeah, I'll link the game again so that, you know, if you want to wishlist it, go for it. But also, the information is up on Steam. Like, we have it in the Steam community. You can also join the Discord. You can, do you know what? I've got all the links. Here we go through all the links. So we have, you know what? Somebody already posted the link for the website. Thank you very much. So let's, if you want to join the Discord, you can do so. There's the Discord for the Skald Discord. And then for the Twitter, we have that link there too. So we got all the things for you if you want to keep updated. And I'm not continuing to play this game right now because my health is like at nothing, and I do not want people to see me die again. So I'm just gonna sit here like I'm actually tactically gonna win this battle. I'm not gonna win the battle. Yeah. Is there anything final you want to say, Anders, before we finish up?
No. It was good to get out of my programming cave for a little bit, and
I did have to bother him. I'd just be like, "Hey, we're doing a stream." He's like, "Oh, I was working."
I know
now. Oh, hey, Captain Rupp. Hey, you beautiful human too. You've just caught us as we're about to go. But there will be a VOD here for a little while for you to watch and enjoy. I promise I didn't die. Yeah, I think we got everything that we wanted to say and give everyone all the links that they need. So I think that's good. Cool beans, y'all. I say goodbye as I can't remember how to end a stream. Okay, thanks everybody for joining us today. We'll see you in a month's time. We'll be back. Hopefully it will be Anders and Johan to talk about like scouting and shenanigans. And have a good day and have a good weekend. Goodbye.
Bye bye everyone.